Okay, and here we are again. We have our little creatures, and we are going to put them into a scene. You will notice on our little tree, box tree, bonsai tree kind of dude, I cleaned up his face a little bit. I couldn't ever really find anything that made me truly happy, so I just gave him kind of a generic, almost kind of like the cell phone guy, but this guy had eyebrows. Look, just because it's always better to have something that looks clean than try and do something that's just not going to work out. So let's start off. Let's shrink all our little guys up and put them back up here and kind of get them out of the way. And we're just going to build kind of like a fun, almost little whimsy field thing. I know you probably wouldn't find like a cell phone and a coffee cup and a pen cup all together in a field playing, but that's what we're going to go with. Now, obviously, if you didn't like that idea and you wanted to come back and do like a desk, kind of like what we did in our front view flat design stuff, of course you could do that. I'm not gonna stop you from making it your own, and we'll show that real quick what that's gonna look like. Position back. We'll lock that shape. Actually, I hate that blue. We're gonna go with something much softer. Kind of like that. That looks better. And we'll make him the whole length and we'll lock him. So if you wanted to do the desk, kind of like what we've done before, make a woodsy color, drop them down, grab your little office critters, and hold on, too far. There we go. Grab your little office critters and just kind of put them on the desk. And you could just kind of organize them from there. If you wanted to, you could even come and like grab some of your office-y looking stuff that we made earlier. Throw like a computer back here, and you could grab maybe like the lamp. Oop. You could grab the lamp. There we go. Kind of stretch it out and throw it over there like it was always there. And then let's grab, let's do our board. And we'll just kind of have it kind of peeking through, right? And then we didn't use the clock in the other illustration, so we'll just grab the clock. We'll throw him up in the corner. And bam, there you go. So there's a quick office setting, and you could take your little dudes and just kind of place them around. And just kind of have fun with it. This is kind of the artistic-y part where, you don't have to fit any real type of norm or whatever. And the other thing too, these are, I mean, it's a dancing cell phone, so don't feel like you gotta get perfect here. And then you got a pin cup with its tongue kind of sticking out. So you could do something kind of like that, and that could be really fun. Obviously, you'd probably want to play with this a little bit more. Maybe move them around, get them more like where they're, like I'm kind of having a little cactus person kind of hide here. You could have the pin cup guy, like he's coming out from behind the computer to kind of try and scare you. You could have the, let's say we had our computer was a lot smaller. And I'll leave the pin cup guy kind of hiding. You could have the cell phone dancing on top of the computer. And, if it's a really funny cartoon, maybe the coffee cup is just unbelievably oversized, right? Just feel free to play around and make this your own, whatever that is. If you wanted to kind of do like what we did earlier in one of the very first demo examples. Let's see if I can pull it up real quick. And pull this little alert thing and have it where your cell phone guy is saying, hey, there's an alert. Look at me. And you could even blow that up and make that look big and have that be kind of fun. And obviously you could use this little call out box or text box for any of these little critters to kind of make it like they're saying something. There's a lot of different ways you could have fun with this. So anyways, let's undo everything. And we're going to go back and do our little field. Okay, so to do the field, we are going to take a circle, shrink it down, stretch it all the way out across the whole screen. And this is giving like a natural kind of earth feel, because no field is perfectly shaped. And then we want to go with green, and we can go ahead and lock him into place. Now you just kind of need to decide where you want your little guys to hang out while we're getting everything else together. And I'm just going to kind of throw them up here out of the way. And what's in a field? Well, in a field, you're going to have trees, flowers, and everything else. So we're going to make this just as whimsical as we can, and we're going to build some flowers. Oh, too small. So how to build a simple flower is take a circle, take a heart, and we're going to start off with a red flower and a yellow center. Pretty classic flower shapes there. And what you want to do is you want to line the flower up using your grid lines. The point of the heart will be in the perfect center of the circle. And then we just push them back, copy, paste, turn 90 degrees, and repeat. And we're just going to do this all the way around. And one more. And boom, there's our flower. Now, you could put a stem on this flower if you want. I wouldn't recommend doing that right now. The reason why that is, if you're going to do a whole bunch of these flowers, and let me give you an example real quick. Anyways, you can probably already start to tell what I'm about to say. If you do a whole bunch of these flowers, what's the likelihood that you're going to see a green stem on a green field with all these different flowers popping up everywhere? And the answer is extremely unlikely. Now if you were doing like a flower and let's say it was sitting, let's find something that would look vase-esque. We'll go with this guy. And we'll try and get an eggshelly color, right? So here we have our vase, here we have our flower, and let's make a stem. And I'd like to have a little bit of curve to it. I just don't know how that's going to look. So let's just try it out. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to like this. I can already kind of feel that. And we'll do a little bit of green. And that doesn't look terrible, but that's not, I'm not in love with that. So if you were doing like a vase style feel, then yeah, you definitely want to have the stem, and I just cannot stand that stem, so we're going to get rid of it and do something else. That's better. Yes, you definitely want to have the stem. And you could even maybe go as far as trying to attempt to do some leaves. I wouldn't recommend that, but you could. I would spend more time maybe playing with the vase and coming up with some better shapes for the vase. Like it'd be really easy. Take it and do like a little triangle shape. And just kind of give it a different look on top. right? And, you know, obviously that would need to be lined up. But, you know, you could kind of give it a little bit of a lip. You could even do the same thing on the bottom. If I could get it to center. There we go. All right, and that, you know, making the vase look unique is going to bring you a lot more than trying to sit there and make leaves or do some of the other things that you can do. And this looks really kind of cool for just a flower in a vase. You know, obviously if you wanted to take this out farther and try and do like a bouquet or something like that, you know, you could. This would be a great starting point. You need to be prepared to be doing a lot of tedious work. But kind of like the, you know, it'd be kind of like the pen cup. You know, the pen cup was a lot of tedious work, but if you focus on what all pieces you're putting together, you can make it look really good. But anyways, talking about stems again, I wouldn't do a stem unless it's very much going to be visible. And obviously a singular flower in a vase, that is going to be very much visible. And you could even see that. Let me see if I can just grab this one thing if it'll let me. You could even see that kind of, you know, in like an office setting almost. Gonna have to move the PC over a little, move this over a little. Let me see if I can just grab all this. Well, not perfect, but we can fix that. You know, you could even see that kind of like in an office setting. So if you wanted to make that a part of, you know, the front view flat design we made a minute ago, you know, that could look really cool. If you wanted to do this top down, you're pretty much just, you're not going to have a stem. You're just going to end up having the flower, and, you know, maybe an outline of a vase or something like that. You have to be really careful with how that came across and making that look good. But, you know, that could be like a fun little element. But anyways, getting back to this guy. So all we're going to do is we're just going to make a ton of flowers. And what I would do if it was me is I'd make a bunch of one color, then I would pull a flower, make them big, and go through and then change the color to something else. So let's do a purple flower. Shrink it down to the size that you're going to be working with. Make a whole bunch. And then I would just kind of blend them in. And this is where you really want to work on using your position options. Because if you think about how flowers are in a field, they're not all perfectly together. You know, they're kind of mix and match. And you're probably really starting to get the idea of what I was talking about, where, you know, the stems aren't going to matter as much. And we'll do one more right here. And actually we'll take him back. And let's do another flower. Let's try and pick a color that's going to stand out really well with everything else we got going on. Probably don't want to do a blue. Probably don't want to do an orange. Let's see if we can make a color. No, those all kind of look drabby. Maybe we could do like a fuchsia wouldn't look bad if we could get it just right. Because we're looking for somewhere in between violet and pink. I don't hate that. That doesn't look bad. We can work with that. And yet again, this is all going to be personal preference. It's going to be whatever color you want your flowers to be. You know, so don't feel like, well, you know, Phil did blah, 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 so I got to do blah, blah, blah. You know, this is all meant to be an expression of artistic, you know, design and thought. So go bonkers. Let's just see if we got any bare spots. Right. So there we have kind of like a little flower bush. So now that we have that all together, what do we have back here? I don't know what that is. Now that we have it all together, we can copy and paste. And now you see where it really starts to get easy. And you can have as much green poking through or as little green poking through as you want. That's just all kind of personal preference. And all I'm really doing here is I'm just kind of blending. And I'm just doing random amounts of that every time. That way it, it looks more organic. And there we kind of have our little flower bush action going on. So we can go ahead and start placing our little guys. So we're going to do Mr. Coffee Cup, kind of hanging out right here. Let's take Mr. Dancing Pin Cup, and you see how he now blends in. So you got some choices. You can either give the coffee cup a brother, which would be a armless pin cup sticking his tongue out, or you can take Mr. Pin Cup and you can have him kind of dancing in front of the flowers. And to do that, we're going to need to copy some of our flowers and fill in down here a little. Let's bring him forward just a little. And I kind of like how he's kind of like in the flowers. I think that's kind of fun. Yeah, that looks pretty silly. Let's place our tree guy. Yet again, we're going to have to watch the greens again on our tree guy. And I really like what we did with the pin cup, so I think we're going to try and do the same thing with our cell phone. And he's kind of like coming out from the flowers. And then the last one is our lady cactus. And what I think we're going to do is we're going to put the coffee cup in the middle. And then we're going to kind of have him right there. And there we go. There we have our fun little whimsy illustration kind of set up. So let's do some other little kind of scenery type of things. Let's have a sun. And it's just going to be yellow. And if you wanted to get a little cheesy with it, could you do rays? Yeah. The problem you're going to run into with doing rays, and you'll see it really quickly, is your first ray might look great, but you got to make equal circular rays going all the way around. That's just going to be so difficult. I want to make my sun a little bit bigger and kind of shove him up there. Then next thing we're going to do is we're going to do a cloud. And you guys remember how to make a cloud. It's basically just a bunch of little circles, preferably white. And there's our cloud. And we're going to kind of have him hanging out just in front of the sun. And let's do a couple more clouds. That way it's just not completely boring out here in the sky. Put him kind of over there, kind of like he's coming down. And we'll do one more. And there we go. There we have our fun, happy little illustration. Now, obviously, you can keep going with this. You know, if you wanted to, you know, do like a tree in the background, and it would be hard to do the whole tree, but you know, you could get pretty close. You know, you could do like a woodsy type of thing, you know, and kind of have it like over here coming up. And you want to do it in front of the cloud. Let's undo that. And what we're going to do is we're going to send the cloud back. Right, and the problem you're going to run into is, and this is usually the issue I have with trees, unless I'm doing something where I can actually, you know, show the tree part, it just ends up kind of looking silly. Yet again, this is kind of more of a Canva deal, not so much of a you deal. It's not that it looks bad per se, it just doesn't look good, right? And you know, there's other ways to make trees, and you can kind of play with that more. Let's get rid of that real quick. But what I would tell you to do is, if you want to play with how everything's done, I would play more with the size and shape of your little people, and kind of just have fun with them that way. So anyways, that's gonna kind of bring us to an end on this example. This is kind of showing you how you can do whimsy with flat design, and you know, let your imagination be your guide. This could be an office scene, this could be a playground, this could be, you know, your living room, whatever you wanted to make it. And a lot of it just kind of boils down to how much time and effort you're willing to put in. You know, just let your imagination be your guide, and don't be afraid to try and experiment. And if it doesn't work out, kind of like what you've seen a couple of things I've tried here that just didn't work out, that didn't look good in the end, don't worry about it. Just delete them, start over. No one's going to care about how many times you practice and fail. They're just going to care, how does it look in the end? You know, does it look good? You know, in our earlier flat design work, you know, did it look like something you'd want to use as a YouTube thumbnail? Did it look like something you want to use on a Facebook post? You know, does this look like something you'd want to put on a children's card or children's book, or you know, something you send to a friend on their birthday or whatever it may be? You know, that's really going to be the judge, is what is your final product and how does it look in the end. So anyways, that's going to bring us to an end on this section, and thank you for joining me, and I hope you had a good time.